Hello all, welcome to my channel today, and this is Vinolin, the storyteller. Today I'm going to share some interesting facts about the young girl Anne Frank and how her diary became a classic war literature. A few years ago, when I finished reading this book, I had post-book depression for a few days, triggering various emotions because it's not just a book but someone's diary. Paging through this diary felt like visiting an old friend who makes me cry, who makes me smile, and sometimes gives deep ache in my chest. Trust me, the young girl has shown brilliance in the writing, making it suitable for the modern audiences today. This diary has one of the honest and unfiltered thoughts of an young girl handling a horrendous situation like holocaust. The word holocaust comes from an ancient Greek word meaning burnt offering. Even before the Second World War, the word described death of several people. After 1945, obviously it became synonymous to the mass murder. While Holocaust has a number of causes, the lust for murder came from nowhere. Hitler often exhibited his hatred for Jews in public. While Hitler had no plans of mass murder, only after the outbreak of the Second World War, he contemplated mass killing of people. At that point, Nazis wanted to completely remove the Jews from Germany and were no longer allowed to work in certain professions, and they often exhibited racial slur. Over a time, they also lost citizenship. In 1938, thousands of Jewish people were imprisoned in the concentration camps. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland and a new radical phase began. During this period, the Nazis deported the Jews to various concentration camps. When historians don't know the exact moment when Hitler thought about mass murder, in January 1942, Hitler discussed execution of large group of Jews, nearly millions of Jews, in the concentration camps. They introduced the use of gas to kill Jews since it was less aggravating than mass shooting. The Germans began deporting the Jews from various territories, and 100,000 Jews were deported from Netherlands. Upon arrival, the Jews were selected according to their age, health, and their ability to work. Those who were not fit enough were gassed immediately. During this time, Anne Frank's father, Otto Frank, a German businessman, took his wife and two teenage daughters to live in Amsterdam. On June 12, 1942, the young teenage girl Anne Frank received a red and white plaid diary for her 13th birthday. That day, she began writing this book. I hope I will be able to confide everything to you, as I have never been able to confide in anyone. And I hope you'll be a great source of comfort and support. When Anne's sister Margaret received a call-up notice from the Nazi military and the concentration camps, Frank, who once was hailed for his bravery as a German soldier in World War I, went into hiding with his family in July 6, 1942 in a cramped space in the backroom office of his own food products business Opekta. Few non-Jewish friends of Frank, especially Mieb Gies, a good friend and helper of the family, smuggled in food and other supplies into the annex. During this time, Anne wrote recounting her life in the hiding, her adolescent stages, and her adolescent issues, and her fear for captivity. Though her initial intention was not to get her writings published, in March 1944, a member of the Dutch government in exile announced in a radio broadcast from London that he would collect diaries and letters and set to work revisiting her writing so that people who would be reading her diary will know about the war. She also created pseudonyms for the people who helped her in the hiding, which is so intelligent of her. Anne's last diary entry was on August 1st, 1944. Her diary just ended before her experience in the concentration camps, giving an indirect picture of the horror that took place aftermath. 3 days later, their place was discovered, and the Frank family was transported to Auschwitz on September 3, 1944. They were in fact betrayed by someone anonymous to this day. Like Frank's, 8,000 of Jews were betrayed. Anne's mother died in January, just before the evacuation. Anne and her sister died in March in a typhus epidemic, which is also called as camp fever. As the name suggests, camp fever is caused by the overcrowding and unhealthy conditions and unhealthy standards of living. Conditions in the camp were extremely poor. It was cold and wet with little food to eat, and disease was common. You know what? Few days later, after their death, the camp was liberated by the British troops. How unlucky the young girl was. If only Anne Frank survived till then, she would have reunited with her father, who became the only survivor of the concentration camp from the annex. Otto Frank was hospitalized at Auschwitz in Jan 7, 1945, when Soviet soldiers liberated the concentration camp. Later, Otto learned that his wife and both his daughters were dead. Niepges, who searched the hiding place, found some papers left behind in the annex. Among them, she found this diary of the young girl. She later said if she had known what was written in the diary, she would have destroyed the book, because her writing pretty much incriminated everyone who tried helping the Otto Frank's family in the hiding place. The diary that you read today is not completely genuine, the reason being some of the passages were removed by Otto Frank, which actually exhibited her conflicts with her mother. The passage about Frank's conflict with her mother made Otto Frank upset, and he actually removed those pages from the publication that you read today. He spent the rest of his last few years preserving his dear daughter's memory through the publication of the diary. The diary is distributed now worldwide, translated into 65 languages, and is widely read. Diary of the Holocaust. The Frank's family hiding place is now a tourist place in Amsterdam, and is the most visited tourist spot as well. Some interesting facts. Hannah, who was Anne Frank's friend, who died on 28 October 2022, recalled Anne's last days in the concentration camp. Hannah and her family members were classed as protected Jews because of Hannah's father's previous role as a deputy minister for domestic affairs. As protected Jews, they were kept separate from the other Jews in marginally better conditions. In an exclusive extract from My Friend Anne Frank by Hannah Pick Gosler, details of the best friends' heartbreaking final meeting in February 1945 at Bergen-Belsen were revealed. They took my hair, and Frank told her friend Hannah, who was separated by the barbed wire in between them. I'm absolutely starving. Do you have some food? Asked Anne to her friend. There was so much more she could do, but lingering near the barbed wire is really dangerous, and someone could really spot them and then kill them. Hannah also said Anne Frank would have reconsidered her sayings in the book In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Hope you all enjoyed the story of Anne Frank, and I would encourage each and everyone viewing my video today should read the diary of the young girl. Stay tuned for more interesting stories. Until then, bye from Vinolin the storyteller.